Before you judge me for hiring a team of strangers to pack up my son's life and leave it on the driveway in the middle of a holiday weekend, you need to understand what it feels like to be slowly erased in your own home. You need to understand that I didn't evict them because I was angry or because I was petty. I evicted them because I finally respected myself enough to stop being their doormat. My name is Linda. I'm 58 years old, though I pride myself on looking 50. I've spent 40 years building a life of dignity. I keep my chestnut brown hair blown out perfectly, with just enough caramel highlights to catch the light. I wear the gold locket my late husband gave me on our 25th anniversary every single day, tucked against my skin like a shield. And I own my home, a beautiful, sprawling colonial estate with ivy growing up the brick, free and clear. But 3 days ago, none of that mattered. 3 days ago, I was invisible. My son, David, and his wife, Jessica, had moved in with me 8 months ago. They claimed it was to save for a house, a sensible plan that I supported. I was thrilled at first. Since my husband passed away 3 years ago, the silence in the hallways was starting to feel heavy, almost suffocating. I wanted the noise. I wanted the messy shoes by the door. I wanted the family dinners. I didn't realize that I was inviting strangers into my sanctuary. It started small, as these things always do. A comment here, a shifted piece of furniture there. Jessica reorganized the living room one afternoon while I was out, moving my favorite leather reading chair to the basement because it clashed with her vibe. When I asked about it, David just shrugged and said, "Let her have this, Mom. She's nesting." Then it was the TV. David asked me to watch my evening shows in my bedroom because they were hosting friends in the living room and needed the space. I swallowed my pride every time. I told myself, it's temporary. They're stressed. Just be a good mother. Don't be the difficult mother-in-law. But Thanksgiving was supposed to be different. It was my holiday, the one day of the year where the house was supposed to feel like home again. I spent 3 days prepping. I brined the turkey in a special blend of herbs and citrus. I hand-peeled 5 pounds of potatoes until my knuckles ached. I polished the antique silver that my grandmother left me, rubbing away the tarnish until I could see my own tired hazel eyes reflected in the spoons. I was wearing a nice silk blouse protected by a white chef's apron, my hair pulled back, but still stylish. I wanted it to be perfect. Jessica had invited her boss, Mr. Henderson. She had been talking about him for weeks. She told me he was high society, a man of influence, and that everything had to be flawless. "Please don't embarrass us, Linda," she had said that morning, not even looking at me as she swanned into the kitchen for the coffee I had already brewed. She didn't say Mom. She rarely did anymore. It was just Linda, said with a tone usually reserved for a disobedient pet. I spent the entire day in the kitchen, sweating, my feet swelling in my shoes. The heat from the oven was stifling, but I kept working. Meanwhile, Jessica spent 3 hours upstairs getting ready. When she finally came downstairs, she looked ridiculous for a family dinner at home. She was wearing a shimmering silver silk evening gown that belonged at a charity gala, not a dining room table. Her platinum blonde extensions were curled to stiff perfection, and she was dripping in diamond earrings that I knew they couldn't actually afford. By 2 p.m., the dining room was full. I could hear the laughter, the clinking of my crystal glasses, the warmth of a party I was catering, but apparently not invited to attend. David was out there in his suit, no tie, trying to look effortlessly cool for the boss, pouring my wine and accepting compliments on the aroma wafting from the kitchen. I checked the turkey. It was beautiful, golden brown, skin crisp, smelling of sage and butter. I felt a surge of pride. This was it. I would bring it out, everyone would cheer, and I would finally take off my apron, sit down, and be part of the family. I walked into the dining room, carrying the heavy platter with trembling hands. The room went quiet. Mr. Henderson looked up. He was a distinguished man with silver hair and kind eyes. He smiled at me warmly, genuine appreciation on his face. "Oh, look at that," he said, his voice booming over the low jazz music. "That looks incredible. You must be the mother. Jessica, you didn't tell me your mother was such a talent in the kitchen." I opened my mouth to say thank you. I instinctively touched the gold locket at my throat, ready to introduce myself, to shake his hand, to take my place at the head of the table. but Jessica laughed. It wasn't a happy laugh. It was a sharp, fake, tinkling sound that cut through the room like broken glass. She waved a manicured hand at me, a dismissive gesture you'd use to shoo away a fly. "Oh no, Mr. Henderson," she said, giggling as she leaned toward him. "That's just Linda. She's the hired help. We keep her around because she makes a decent roast, even if she is a bit slow." The air left the room. My son David was sitting right there. He looked at me. I looked at him. I locked eyes with him, pleading silently. "Say something. David, tell him I'm your mother. Tell him this is my house. Tell him I raised you." David looked down at his plate. He nervously adjusted his napkin. He took a sip of wine. He said nothing. In that silence, 40 years of love evaporated. He chose his wife's lie over his mother's dignity. He chose to let me be erased, rather than make things awkward for his wife. "Oh," Mr. Henderson said, clearly confused, his smile faltering. "Well, thank you, Linda." "Just put it on the sideboard, Linda," Jessica snapped, her voice dropping the sweet act for a split second. "And fetch more ice. The bucket is empty." I set the turkey down. My hands were shaking, but I didn't drop it. I didn't scream. I didn't flip the table. I turned around, walked back into the kitchen, and took off my white apron. I folded it neatly and placed it on the counter next to the gravy boat I hadn't brought out yet. I grabbed my purse and my car keys. I walked out the back door, got into my car, and drove straight to the Hilton downtown. I turned my phone off immediately. I didn't want to see the texts asking where the gravy was. I didn't want to see David asking why I was making a scene by disappearing. I ordered room service, a club sandwich, and a bottle of expensive Cabernet, and I sat in the silence of that hotel room. I slept for 12 hours, and when I woke up the next morning, Black Friday, I wasn't sad. I wasn't grieving. I was clear. I called my lawyer, Mr. Jacobs, at 8 a.m. sharp. "Linda," he answered, sounding surprised. "Happy Thanksgiving weekend? Is everything okay?" "No, Phil," I said, my voice steady. "I need to evict David and Jessica. Today." "Today?" "Linda, eviction takes 30 days. You have to serve notice. Go to court." "They aren't tenants, Phil," I said, looking at myself in the hotel mirror. "They don't pay rent. They don't have a lease. They are guests, and guests can be asked to leave. If I pack their things and put them outside, is that illegal?" He paused. "Technically, since there's no tenancy agreement, if you handle it right, no. It's aggressive, though. Very aggressive. Aggressive is exactly what I want. I hired a moving crew. I paid triple for the holiday rush fee. I told them to meet me at the house at noon. I dressed for war. I put on a sharp navy blue blazer, crisp white trousers, and my favorite designer heels. I fixed my hair into a perfect blowout. I put on my gold locket. When I pulled into the driveway, Jessica's car was still there. Mr. Henderson's car was gone, thank goodness. I unlocked the front door. The movers, 4 large men with serious faces, stood behind me, waiting for orders. Jessica and David were in the living room. The TV was blaring. Jessica was lounging on the sofa in expensive silk pajamas, her hair in a messy bun, scrolling on her phone. David was eating leftover pie straight from the tin. They looked up, startled, as I walked in. "Mom?" David stood up, looking annoyed, wiping crumbs from his mouth. "Where the hell have you been? You ruined dinner. We had to serve ourselves." Mr. Henderson thought it was so weird that the help just walked out. "Yeah, Linda?" Jessica scoffed, not even standing up. "You really embarrassed me. I hope you're ready to apologize." "I'm not here to apologize," I said, stepping into the center of the room. "I'm here to supervise." I signaled the movers. "Gentlemen, start in the master bedroom. Everything goes in boxes. Clothes, shoes, toiletries. If it isn't nailed down and it doesn't belong to me, pack it." "What?" Jessica jumped up, clutching her silk pajama top. "Who are these people? You can't go in my room." "It's not your room," I said calmly, my hazel eyes cold. "It's my room, in my house." "Mom, stop," David yelled, rushing toward the stairs to block the movers. "You can't do this. This is our home." "No, David," I said, stepping in front of him. "This is my home. You were guests. But yesterday your wife told a room full of people that I was the hired help, and you let her." David's face went pale, his soft features crumbled. It was just a joke, Mom. Jessica was just nervous. She didn't mean it." "A joke?" I laughed, but it was a cold, hard sound devoid of humor. "Being erased isn't a joke, David. Being treated like a servant in the home I built isn't a joke. So if I'm the help, Then consider this my resignation, and unfortunately for you, the help is evicting you." "You can't be serious," Jessica shrieked, looking around frantically as the movers began dismantling her life. "Where are we supposed to go?" "I don't know," I said, checking my nails. "Maybe you can go to Mr. Henderson's house. Tell him the truth. Tell him you're actually homeless because you lied about owning this estate." Jessica gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "You wouldn't." "Try me," I whispered. The movers were efficient. Within 2 hours, their lives were stacked in cardboard boxes in the garage. Jessica was crying on the sofa, clutching her jewelry box. David was pacing the kitchen, calling friends, getting rejected call after call. "Mom, please," David tried one last time, his voice cracking. "It's the holidays. You can't do this to family." I looked at him, really looked at him. I saw the entitlement. I saw the weakness. I saw a man who would sell his mother for a moment of comfort. "Family treats you with respect, David," I said. "Family doesn't watch you get humiliated and sip their wine. You stopped being family yesterday. Now you're just tenants who didn't pay the rent." I handed them a piece of paper my lawyer had drafted and emailed to me. "This is a formal notice of trespass. Once your things are out, if you come back onto this property, I will call the police." They left at 4 p.m. They rented a U-Haul because I refused to pay for storage. I watched from the porch, wrapped in my blazer against the chill, as David loaded the last box. He looked at me, waiting for me to crack, waiting for me to be the nice mom again. I didn't blink. When the truck finally drove away, taillights fading into the dusk, I walked back inside. The house was quiet. It was messy. The movers had left some dust, and there were scuff marks on the floor, but it was mine. I walked into the dining room. The table was still set from yesterday. The wine glasses were still there, stained with red wine rings. I cleared the table. I washed the dishes. I put everything away. Then, I sat in my favorite leather armchair, the one I brought back up from the basement myself, and poured a glass of wine. I looked at the photos of my husband on the mantel. I might be alone now, but I'd rather be alone in a house that respects me than surrounded by people who don't. And as for Mr. Henderson, I sent him an email this morning. I simply wrote, "Dear Mr. Henderson, thank you for the compliment on the turkey. It was my grandmother's recipe. Just to clarify, I am not the hired help. I am the owner of the estate. The tenants have been removed for dishonesty. Best, Linda." I haven't heard back yet, but judging by the frantic voicemails Jessica has been leaving me about ruining her career, I have a feeling the message was received.